It's time to talk about some Nerf blasters you might have forgotten about. Ever since 1969, Nerf has been around in some form or another. That means there have been a lot of products across those years, and one of the biggest categories is really blasters. While there are many amazing retro and vintage Nerf blasters, I'm going to be taking a look at some of the more modern Nerf blasters that have come out around the 2010s that have just kind of been forgotten about. Because let's face it, not every Nerf blaster is memorable, but that doesn't mean that they are bad blasters by any stretch of the imagination. There have been some really interesting firing mechanisms, there have been just some cool blaster designs. I just wanted to highlight 5 blasters that I feel have been kind of forgotten about except for collector circles or really hardcore Nerf enthusiasts. So without further ado, let's start with blaster number 1. And blaster number 1 is the strangest blaster on this list. It is the Voidcaster. The Voidcaster comes to us by the way of the 2017 Alien Menace line. There weren't very many blasters in this lineup, however the Voidcaster was the most unique. It is one of the very few Nerf blasters that allow you to prime and fire a dart with one press of the giant trigger here. You can load up to 4 darts into an active barrel that uses a smart AR system, and with one really easy press of this grip, fire some darts off. One of the things I like about this blaster is the detailing on it. Clearly there's a lot of alien technology happening here with this kind of thin bone and then some of this technology pieces right here. And then along the bottom we have some of these fins and blades that give this a really menacing vibe. It has some built-in dart storage along the bottom of the blaster on each side that it actually reminds me of the Halo Needler where it's kind of swept back and it gives it this really pointy aesthetic. I don't know if that was an inspiration for this blaster at all, but I think this is a pretty interesting blaster that a lot of people have forgotten about, and if you can get your hands on one of these, it's actually really fun to use. One of the oldest blasters on this list is the 2010 Nerf Rebelle Spylight. This is actually missing a few of the accessories with it, but the blaster still works and it's an amazing blaster. The closest relative this blaster has that exists today is the Disruptor. Even you could probably say a little bit of the Longarm as well. It's just there's no drop cylinder here. One of the best parts about the Rebelle series is that it is a sleeker design than we do have with the Elite blasters. So this actually fits better in a lot of existing holster equipment than does any other Longarm or Disruptor. If you have a complete version of this, it does come with a light. The other thing, there's another piece that fits some extra darts that kind of looks like this clear see-through red. I think there's like some secret message or something on the darts themselves. However, in the handle, you can put 2 darts in there as a backup. This is a pretty clever design. They put a lot of thought and effort into some of the features with this. Just a lot of people don't remember it because it got overshadowed by things like the Disruptor and the Longarm, especially after the whole Rebelle line vanished. The Doomlands series from Nerf is something you can still find on store shelves, however the impact zone stuff is starting to get a little harder to find. This is the Longarm, and this is an often forgotten about blaster from the sub-series of the Doomlands line. Say what you will about the extra barrel length, the 5-round cylinder, there is a lot of great detail that goes into this blaster that I think goes unappreciated. It also has the really cool see-through paneling there, so you can kind of see how this blaster fires if you are one of those curious types that likes to tinker with things. Compared to the Desolator, this blaster just kind of gets forgotten about. And the funny thing is I've seen this on store shelves just recently. This kind of reminds me a little bit, just a tiny little bit, of the revolver that was used in Firefly. The Zombiestrike line needs no introduction, but maybe the Ripchain does. This is a blaster from 2017, and it is one of the very few modern Nerf blasters that uses any sort of chain or belt-fed mechanism to fire darts. Unlike the Vulcan or any of the old retro Nerf blasters, the Ripchain uses an all-plastic interlinking design that is a lot lighter and a lot easier to carry around than those big, heavy Vulcan belts. The belt is actually really decent size, and you wouldn't run out of darts anytime soon. With the open bottom to this, it makes refilling it pretty easy as well. There's a lot of blasters in the Zombiestrike line, so I want to know if there's some other blasters that I'm forgetting about from this line, and I want to hear about that in the comment section below. This wouldn't be a list of my own making if there wasn't a clear see-through or some kind of translucent blaster on the list. This is the Shadow from the Modulus Ghost Ops line that features green LEDs. There were only 2 blasters in this sub-line of the Modulus series, this one as well as the Evader. The reason this one gets forgotten about is because it is the spring-powered version, whereas the Evader is the electronic flywheel-based version. You can fit up to 6 darts in the internal magazine, and this actually loads pretty quickly because you don't need to pull back any sort of breech to fit them in there. If anything, this actually reminds me a lot of like the old dart tag stuff. This can be a fairly compact blaster if you take off the front barrel attachment. While not my favorite blaster to use, it is a pretty neat one, and I feel often gets overshadowed. It's a quick video this week, and there's good reason for it. So you're gonna wanna make sure you subscribe to this channel and get the notifications, because you're not gonna wanna miss what comes up soon here. So that's my list. If you have any other Nerf blasters that you don't feel have gotten the light of day in a very long time, be sure to leave a comment and let me know which ones those are. And we can talk about and reminisce about some of these blasters that have been forgotten about but deserve their names to be mentioned again. And so that's it. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week.